Hey everyone, it's Kenji, and I'm making a spinach and chickpea stew with ginger and tomatoes. I made versions of this dish many times, so I used to work at this restaurant in Boston called Toro, and we made a version of this dish that was sort of much more complicated. We'd make a vegetable stock, we would use fresh tomatoes, we would soak our chickpeas and cook them, and then we would flavor it with various things, sometimes chorizo, sometimes just Spanish paprika, and serve it with a poached egg. But it's a sort of classic Spanish bar snack. Chickpeas are very common all over Spain. The version that I'm making now, however, is quite different from that restaurant version. This is like the real simplified version that I make at home, and it's one of my favorite dishes. This is actually out of my first book, The Food Lab, and it's one of my favorite dishes to make at home because it's so fast and so easy, not too many ingredients, and it's delicious. I call this my ski trip dish because whenever I go on these ski trips with big groups of people. Well, they started out as like 7 people, and now we're up to like 20 to 25 people join these trips because everyone's got kids now. And this is the one dish that I can make at the ski house, and everybody will eat it, whether they're omnivores or vegans or vegetarians. It is a vegan dish, but it's one of those dishes that is just delicious no matter whether you eat meat or not. It's a big crowd pleaser. All right, so I'm starting by chopping up a little bit of garlic. I'm going to take some tomatoes. I got one 28-ounce can of whole tomatoes, and I'm going to put half of them and most of the sort of juice. Let's say one more. Into a cup like that. And I'm going to take some ginger. You can peel your ginger, you don't have to. Really depends on how sort of thick the skin is. But a little knob of ginger like this, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, we can't do 7, it's got to be 8. 8 little coins of ginger. And then I'm just going to blend this into a puree. All right, that's it. Then I'm gonna chop up an onion. So we'll use my special mathematical onion slicing trick. I think I've talked about this every time I dice an onion, but start by peeling it in half like that and taking the skin off, leaving the root end intact. I had this goal a while back of figuring out the most efficient way to dice an onion. So I had a friend of mine build a computer model of one, and we tested various slicing methods. And what we found is that if you take the height of the onion and call that 1, the radius of the onion, if you then imagine a point in your cutting board that's about 1.5, it's technically more like 1.6, but imagine you take half that height again and draw an imaginary dot underneath your cutting board. And then whenever you're making your cuts, instead of cutting straight up and down, you kind of aim roughly for that magic invisible point under your cutting board. So it's not quite perfectly radial, but it's not quite up and down. It's somewhere in between. And that is the most efficient way to get the most even dice with the fewest number of cuts. And I do the horizontal cut because it makes things more even. And I know every single time I dice an onion on camera, no matter how close I get to the root, someone in the comments says, "Look at all that onion you're wasting." So I want to recognize you. I hear you. I understand you. And I don't care. No, I do care, but not enough to change my ways. All right, that's basically all the ingredients we need. I'm gonna get quite a bit of olive oil in here. You want like your real good stuff, This is Primus olive oil. It's made by my friend, I would say imported by my friend Damien Primus. It comes from Greece. It is my favorite olive oil. We're gonna get, I would say, 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup in here.
Well, here we are.
This is Gluggen olive oil. We're gonna get our onions in. Put our garlic in. All right, now I've got all this spinach. When I was a kid, all spinach was the curly leaf variety. Whenever you went to the supermarket and bought spinach, it was the curly leaf spinach. It feels like now all spinach is flat leaf, and I have a lot of trouble finding the curly leaf variety. I like the curly leaf variety for braised dishes like this because I think it braises a little bit better. It holds its structure a little bit better in a stew. But all I can find now is flat leaf, so I'm gonna go with flat leaf. This is, I think it's probably like 6 ounces of spinach. My recipe I think calls for 12 ounces, but all of the other spinach at the shop was looking kind of wilty and sad, so I just bought the one bunch and it'll still be fine. You could do this with really any kind of good braising green, so you could do this with kale, you could do it with collard greens, you could even do it with something like arugula if you wanted, escarole, any kind of green that you would put in a soup will work here. All right, so while those soften up, I'm gonna do my last little step here, which is kind of roughly cut up these tomatoes right in the can. You can take them out and chop them with a knife if you want, or you can put them in a bowl and squish them through your fingers. But I'm doing the scissoring today. It's always a good time for scissoring. All right, so we're not looking for much color on here. We're just kind of sweating that onion and garlic out. I'm gonna season it with a little bit of salt and MSG. And then I'm also gonna add in just a little bit of smoked paprika. This is sweet smoked paprika, so you could also do it with hot smoked paprika if you wanted a little spicier. But I'm just using the sweet stuff today. Smells real good. Onions and olive oil is like one of my favorite scents, I think. I don't know why onions and olive oil smell so good together, but it just makes sense. So I'm gonna go in with my tomato and ginger puree now. If you overheat extra virgin olive oil, you drive off a lot of sort of the more delicate aromatic compounds in there. And you certainly don't want to bring it up to the point where it's kind of burning. But because we have so much onion and garlic in there, some high moisture vegetables in there, that actually limits the temperature that the olive oil is going to reach. So in reality, it's not really getting much above the boiling temperature of water. So all those aromas are generally safe in a dish like this. All right, now we're gonna start doing our spinach. We're gonna add it in well, actually, I don't have that much, so I can just probably add it all at once. Typically, if I had, double this amount of spinach, or I had a smaller pot, I would add it in like a handful at a time, and kind of let it wilt down in between additions. But with this nice big pot and not so much spinach, we can just dump it all in at once. So medium heat again. We're gonna just let the spinach wilt down. This is a recipe that, it's very, very forgiving, so you don't have to have the exact amounts for all this stuff. You can scale it any which way. Like I said, pretty much every winter I make a batch of this for about 20 people, and we serve it with some really nice crusty bread and a salad. But I never measure when I'm doing that. I kind of just get an equal number of cans of tomatoes and chickpeas, and then everything else just kind of eyeball it. All right, spinach is nice and wilted there. We're gonna go in with our chickpeas. I'm doing it with the chickpeas with the liquid from their can, which is going to add liquid, obviously, and it's going to give some nice body to the soup as well, along with the chopped tomatoes. So we puree half the tomatoes and chop the other half so that you get some nice texture in there. Okay, and then a couple bay leaves. Let me taste it for seasoning. It's going to reduce a little bit, so we don't want it to be too aggressively seasoned yet. But we want to make sure that there's enough salt in there that you're, seasoning the chickpeas as they simmer. And that is basically it. We're gonna simmer it for about 30 minutes or so with the lid off so that it reduces, and then we're ready to eat. All right, so here we are. I had a little simmer. Lena's gonna push the camera into here, and then we'll be back when it's ready to eat. Ready for your push?
I'm ready.
All right, push. All right, so it's been half an hour, maybe 45 minutes or so, and you can see it reduced down a little bit, turned into this nice thick stew. Our spinach is nice and tender. This is not one of those sort of like bright green greens dishes. This is one of those tender braised green dishes. Now at the very end, we're gonna adjust the seasoning a little bit. I tasted it, it still needs a little bit more salt. Salt and MSG. I think my original recipe called for a splash of soy sauce, which you could also do in there if you'd like, just to give it a little bit more sort of umami depth, but the MSG does a pretty good job of that. And then typically I would finish this with a little bit of sherry vinegar. I couldn't find sherry vinegar in my pantry. It's probably there somewhere, but I'm using some Banyuls vinegar instead. You could use something like cider vinegar, like white wine vinegar. I would avoid, something like balsamic that's going to be sweet, but just a little bit of vinegar to sort of brighten it up. That is very good. Ski house worthy. And because there wasn't enough olive oil there to begin with, we're gonna add some more. You want to use your very best extra virgin for this. I got a little bit of bread. This is just pita bread, but you know, any kind of good hearty bread will work here. Oh boy. It's not hot. It's all good. I love this. All right, so probably about 15 minutes of actual work here. Mostly canned things, some fresh greens, really good olive oil, onions, garlic, paprika, and finishing it with a little bit of vinegar and more olive oil. And it's real simple, it's real easy, and it's delicious. It's vegan. It's a crowd pleaser. It's easy to make in giant batches. It's just kind of one of these ideal winter dishes. All right, guys, gals, non-binary pals, you can find the recipe on my Patreon. Is this a free recipe or is this a member recipe? One or the other. You're gonna have to go there and find out. All right, see you later.